This is Gemara in Ksubis Daf Samoch Gimel. All the learned this month, the month of Elul, as we prepare for Rosh Hashanah, has been generously sponsored as a schos Ilin Neshama of Esther Rizel Bas, her mayor, whose yahrzeit was on the 2nd of Elul, the beginning of the month. Mir Hashem, the learning the entire Chabura should bring Esther Rizel Bas, her mayor, higher and higher in her place in Gan Eden Shalmaila. We pick it up on Samoch Gimel Amid Aleph. Yesterday, we ran all the way. The story of Rav Akiva took us well into Daf Samach Gimel, the famous story of Rav Akiva going to learn 24 years, the incredible Mesiras Nefesh of his wife. And we finish off this part of the Gemara, 4 lines from the wide lines, and Samach Gimel Amid Aleph, in which the Gemara teaches us Rav Yosef Brei, Shadri Avua Lebei Rav, Rav Yosef Brei the Rava, the son of Rava, Shadri Avua, his father, sent Lebei Rav to the yeshiva lekamid Rav Yosef in front of Rav Yosef. Paskulei, and they set aside for him that how many years following his chasana did they set aside for him to learn? Says the Gemara, Paskulei shit shni. They set aside 6 years that he's able to sit and learn, not 12 or 24, but 6 years he's able to sit and learn. Ki avetla shni, after 3 years, mati mali yom kipura. One Erev Yom Kippur Amr, he said, let me go visit. It's been 3 years. Let me go visit and see how my family, how my wife is doing. Shama Avua, his father heard, what are you doing coming? What are you doing? We set aside that you had 6 years for you to sit and learn. So his father heard, and what did he do? Shaka Lamana, he took some kelim and nafik lap, and he went to greet him, seemingly coming out to fight. Amar lei, Zainzchan Nizkares, you remembered your Zaina? What are you doing here? You're supposed to be in yeshiva learning. Egediamri Amar lei, Yoinaschan Nizkarta, you remembered your dove, Itrud, Loimar Ifsik, V'Loimar Ifsik. And the Gemara concludes that Itrid, they got involved in a machlekes fighting. What was he doing home? Loimar Ifsik, and neither one had time to eat the final Su'udah before Yom Kippur, as they were busy battling with each other over the fact that he came home early to visit his wife. And we began a new Mishnah. Till now we've been discussing the chiyuvim of husband and wife. And almost like direct segue, says the Gemara in the bottom of Samach Gimel Amid Aleph, Hamayredes al Baila. If someone rebels, if a woman rebels against her husband, Paischal la miksubasa, we detract from her ksuba shiva dinarim b'shavis, 7 dinarim each and every week. She loses 7 dinarim. We'll see exactly what she did for her rebellion against her husband. Rav Yehuda Omer, says Rav Yehuda, shiva tarapakiyat, not 7 dinarim, but rather says Rav Yehuda 7 tarapakiyat. Ad masay upayches. Says the Mishnah, until how long do you detract from her ksuba? Ad keneged ksubas, until her entire ksuba is used up. Rav Yesi Amer lo'ilamu paiches v'hoilich ad shem tibul Yerushalayim kamacher koiva emena. Says Rav Yesi, not only do we detract from the actual ksuba, but even from the properties that she brought in, and if something would fall to her in a Yerusha, he would be able to get it. V'chein, and similarly says the Mishnah, Hamayir al Ishtai, if he rebelled against his wife, then Moisivin al Ksuba, we obligate him to add on to the Ksuba Shleisha Dinarim B'Shabbos, 3 Dinarim every Shabbos. Rav Yehuda Omer Shleisha Tarpakiyan, 3 Tarpakiyan each and every Shabbos. So the halacha is, if wife rebels, she loses 7. If he rebels, he has to pay an extra 3. So says the Gemara, before we get involved in exactly the difference why she loses 7 and he adds 3, Mayredas b'mai, what does it mean that she rebels? Ravuna Amar mitashish hamita, she refrains from being intimate with her husband, that is a form of rebellion, and then she loses her ksuba each and every week. Rav Yezir Chanina Amar mimalacha, doesn't mean that she's not intimate, but it means she doesn't do the requisite malachais that a woman does to her husband. I asked the Gemara to the Mishnah, said in the continuation of the Mishnah, and similarly, if someone rebels against his wife, so explains the Gemara, If it means that she rebelled from having relations with him, and similarly, then the end of the Mishnah means that he rebels, means a similar detail that he rebels from Tashmish l'chayim makes sense. Elaman damar mi malacha mi mishubed law, says the Gemara, but according to Bandamar, that it means that she rebelled from doing work for him. It asks the Gemara, is there any work that he has to do for her? So what would the end of the Mishnah mean when it says that he rebelled in a similar fashion? Answers the Gemara in yes, that yes, there is a form of work that he has to do for her. Explains the Gemara, in what case can the husband be rebellious, be moired with regard to work? In a case when he says, I'm not feeding you, and therefore I am not providing for you. Says the Gemara, ask the Gemara, but Rav taught us if someone says that, he has to right away pay the ksuba, you're not able to do that. Says the Gemara, but do we not have to ask him? Meaning, when the Mishnah says that he has to add on and pay an extra 3 dinarim tarpaki in a week, that means that yes, we detract from the ksuba. Yes, he has to divorce, but he gets the chance, he gets the time, the ability potentially to renege, to do tshuva, we'll call it. And that ability, that is the amount of time that we consult with him. During that time, he has to add on to the ksuba each and every week. So we're learning that little bit of an extra detail in the Mishnah doesn't just mean that he has to add on each and every week. It means while we're trying to deal with him, while we're trying to figure out a way that he could get back together during that interim time period, he has to add on. So Meisvei asked the Gemara, the two dots over here are a bit misplaced. Meisvei asked the Gemara, Achas di arusa nesua vafilu nida vafilu chayla. Says in the Brisa, whether it's an arusa, someone did nisuin, a nida, chayla, vafilu shemeres yavam, even one awaiting yibam. So explains the Gemara. I understand all these people have an obligation. Is there a form? What are you talking about? Anita can't be mishamij with her husband. Explains the Gemara. Similarly, what we've seen on the previous tafim, you're right. The Nida is not actually intimate to her husband, but it's a different detail in which when she makes herself forbidden to him, there's no longer that pas b'saloi. Another lashon I understand why you would say chayla as we turn over to Samul Gimel Amid Beis. Does a chayla do malacha to her husband? So answer the Gemara, Ela mitashmish. So now the Gemara goes back and the Gemara re-explains the machlekes, re-translating the machlekes between the case of the Mishnah in which he and her rebel against each other. Rather, says the Gemara, everyone agrees that if one does not give their spouse intimate relations, that's called rebellion. As the top Rashi says, and that's the Mishnah, that's what the Mishnah is talking about. Ki pligi. So when is there a machlekes? Says the Gemara, Ki pligi mi malacha. When a woman rebels for doing work for her husband, Ma'arsava mi malacha lavi meredis, Ma'arsava malacha nami ave meredis. V'machlekes Rav Huna and Rav Yossi Brei Rav Chanina is with regard to work. If someone says, I'm not doing work for my spouse, that is well considered my redes. Rav Huna holds it's not. Rav Zidzi Bar Chanina says, Nami have meredes. So continues the Gemara 4 lines down, Gufa quoting the Brisa. If someone rebels against their husband, we detract 17 aram a week b'Shabbos. Rav Yudam Rishiv Tarbakin. So the Rabbanim said, no, it's not that we subtract each and every week, but rather we get up and we announce for 4 different Shabbos, one after another. And Bezdin says, you should know, you're going to lose everything. In all these cases, if you don't get back together, if you don't stop rebelling, you're going to lose everything. That's a quote of a Brisa. And now the Gemara goes, and the Gemara dissects this brisa, very similar to our Mishnah. Amar Rav Chiya bar Yosef l'Shmuel. Nida bas Ashvashi, very similar question to which we had in the bottom of Amar Aleph. Ask the Gemara, I don't understand. Is a Nida potentially one who could have relations? Amar Lei, and Adoi Mishish lo bas Sali, Mishin lo bas Sali. Amar Rabbi Bar Chama. Ein machzirin alel but kinesias but midjashis. Says over Chama, when we say that for 4 weeks we announce that they're rebelling, that is something that is done in public in Shul and Beis Medrash. Amar Rava dekenami, I'll prove this. The Gedani Arba Shabbos Zuach Chazush Ma'amina, says Rava, from the fact that the Gemara said you announce it 4 weeks one after another. That's our raya, that it is made where everyone congregates weekly, which is on Shabbos, which is the shuls and the Bati Midrashis. Amar Rami Bar Chama Pamim Shalchan Lami Bis Din Achas Koidim Achroza V'Achas L'Achar Achroza, says Rami Bar Chama, the court, Pa'amayim, not Pamim, Pa'amayim Shalchan Lami Bezdin, the court sends this messenger, the Bezdin sends out to her 2 different times. One before the Achraza, one after the Achraza, each one time telling her, if you don't get back together, if you don't stop rebelling, you're going to potentially lose your entire Ksuba. So Darish, Rav Nachman bar Rav Chisda, so the Gemara rules, Halacha K'Rabbi Yisenu, that is indeed the Halacha, like we learned in the Brisa, that we go and we announce for 4 weeks, one after another, and we don't do like the Mishnah said. The Mishnah seemingly detracted from her ksuba weekly until she could potentially have nothing left. Rather, we do like the Brisa said, that we go for 4 weeks and then that is all. A much quicker process. So Amar Rava, Hai Borcha, says the Gemara, what are you talking about? Says Rava, this is a mistake. It's not like your Mishnah, it's not what you do. Say, what is the mistake? What's the problem? I said it to you, and I said it to you in the name of a Gavar Rabba. Umani, who was there? Rav Chanina. V'iu kaman savar. And says the Gemara, and who does he and Rav who said that it's incorrect? Who does he hold like? Ki ha de itma Rav Amar Rav Shish zalachan imlachan ba. Now what's the halacha? Halacha is not that we go with this accelerated 4-week announcement process and then it's over. But rather we consult with her and we attempt to get her back together with her husband, which is similar to our Mishnah, that each and every week she loses money, each and every week we try to convince her to get back together with her husband, but not like the Brisa, that it's a quick 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row, and then it is finished. Ravuna bar Yehuda, Amar Rav Shishes, halacha ein nimlachin ba. Now what's the halacha? The halacha is like the Brisa, that we don't consult with her. Rather, what do? We do the 4-week announcement, and that is how we deal with the woman that rebels. Heichi dam yamayredes, says the Gemara. What exactly is this case of Meredes? Amar Amimar says Amimar the Amra be'ina lei umetzarina lei. So the Gemara expounds and elaborates a bit on that which we started off today. That what is rebellious? Not stam, not a regular case in which she's not intimate with her husband, but rather in a case in which she says, I want him as a husband, but I want to torment him. I want to be mitzayer him. That is the case of a woman who is rebelling. And then in that scenario, that's the reason why we pressure her to return, to try to reconcile. And weekly, we're going to take off her ksuba, 70 narim a week, so that they could make amends. But if she says, I hate him, I don't want to have anything to deal with him, then we don't deal with them. Then we, then we do not force her to do anything. Marzucha Amar the opposite. Kaifino, we still force her. Says the Gemara, seemingly a raya, there was a story. We forced them to get back together, and lo and behold, Rav Chanina Misura, a wonderful giant, came out of that union. V'loyi, says the Gemara, it's not a raya. Hasam siyata dishmaya have. Over there is siyata dishmaya, who is heavenly assistance that helped produce such an outcome, but it's not because we reconciled and caused them to get back together. And we conclude today with a story. The Gemara says, Kalase de Rav Zvid Imruda, the daughter-in-law of Rav Zvid, rebelled. Have tvisa chad shira. She grabbed a silk robe. Yosef Meimar Umar Zuchav Rav Ashiv Yosef Rav Gamda Gabayu. They're all sitting, and what happened? Rav Gamda was sitting as well. Yossi, they were sitting v'kamri marda efsida b'la yisal. That if someone rebels, she forfeits, she loses b'la yisal, her worn out clothing, kayamin. She loses everything that is still around. Amar lehu Rav Gamda misham de Rav Zid garava mechnafisa lei, because he's a great person. You flatter him and you paskin like him. Rav Kana mibayi Rava. Rav Kana said that Rava asked the shayla b'loy pashit. We didn't answer the shayla. Rava was not sure whether she has to not only lose from her ksuba, but as well she loses the clothing that she got throughout the marriage. Ikadi Amri, another lashon, last line, Yosef Vikamri, Marda lo yifsida b'lo yisel kayamim. She does not lose her clothing. And Amalu Rav Gamda, and on this version of the story, Rav Gamda says, we turn over to Zamach Dalul and Aleph, Shem Rav Zvid Gavarabba v'echvitu lei, because Rav Zvid is a great person. Havechvitu lei ledina luyei, you change the halacha upon him, you rule against him. Ahamar Rav Kana mibayi bayi lei Rav of lei pashin. Hashtad lo yimar lo achiv lo achi, tavzal lo mefkinonei. A very important rule in Choshen Mishpat. It's true. We didn't pass him, but if any scenario which we don't pass him, the loch is tavsa, if she grabs, loy mafkina, we don't take it away from her. Loy tavsa, loy avinu lo. If she does not grab, then she does not get it. We conclude, Mishahidan le Teresa Yarchi Shata Agita, says the Gemara, and we wait 12 months for her before we give her a divorce. She does not get fed from her husband. So again, what is the psak halacha according to this lashon regarding the clothing? We do not take it from her. We don't give it to her. But if she grabbed it, then she gets to keep it. But we have to wait 12 months, 1 full year, for granting her a divorce. We'll pick it up from Rav Tuvi Bar Kisna in the next year of Siyata Dishmaya.